Hello, welcome back in the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers reach for the heavens and the ceaseless hum of ambition filled the air. A tale of allure and menace unfolded, a story of love caught in a web of control. Among the city's elite, Jim Jones was a name that held weight. Charismatic and magnetic, he drew people to him like moths to a flame. But beneath his polished charm lay something far darker, a world of manipulation and control that he wielded with a subtle precision. Brooke Bailey, meanwhile, was a rising star in the world of fashion. With striking beauty and unbreakable determination, she had fought her way up, landing contracts with coveted brands and gracing prestigious runway shows. She was at the peak of her career, yet on the verge of something deeper, something unknown. When her path crossed with Jim, her world tilted on its axis, setting in motion a chain of events that would reveal love's darkest corners and her own untapped strength. Their meeting was almost surreal, a chance encounter that felt anything but accidental. Brooke had been invited to a high-profile event, a celebration of the city's influential and powerful, when she first locked eyes with Jim. His confidence was intoxicating, his presence magnetic. He exuded an energy that few could resist, and in that moment, Brooke felt herself drawn toward him. Curious, intrigued. As they talked, Jim's gaze lingered on her, making her feel as though she were the only person in the crowded room. His words were smooth, his stories filled with allure, and within a short span of time, Brooke found herself captivated. He was everything she thought she wanted, powerful, assured, and driven by an ambition that matched her own. Their whirlwind romance quickly became the talk of the town, and for a while, Brooke relished the attention and thrill of being with someone who seemed to open doors she hadn't even known existed. In Jim's world, Brooke felt alive. He whisked her away to glamorous parties, introduced her to influential circles, and immersed her in a lifestyle that dazzled and captivated. Each night was an adventure, filled with exclusive gatherings, opulent venues, and interactions with some of the most esteemed figures in the industry. The high life enveloped her, and for a time, she felt like she was living a dream. But beneath the glittering surface, shadows lurked. Jim's temper, like a sudden storm, would erupt without warning. One minute he was charming, affectionate, and warm; the next he was icy, simmering with barely restrained rage. At first, Brooke brushed these moments aside, attributing them to the pressure of his work or the strain of maintaining his public image. She told herself that love came with challenges, that their connection was worth fighting for. Yet, as the weeks turned into months, Brooke couldn't shake an unsettling feeling, a whisper in the back of her mind warning her that something was amiss. The charm that had once enchanted her now felt like a mask hiding something far more sinister. As their relationship deepened, Jim's controlling tendencies grew. He began to dictate how she spent her time, subtly influencing her career choices and pushing her away from friends. At first, it seemed like mere concern, as though he wanted what was best for her. He insisted on knowing her schedule, demanding updates on her whereabouts, and gradually isolating her from the people she held dear. Brooke convinced herself that he was simply protective, that his possessiveness was born from love. But as time went on, the boundaries blurred. The glamour that once thrilled her began to feel like chains, binding her to a life that no longer felt like her own. The moments of affection were increasingly punctuated by bouts of jealousy and anger. Jim's charm would fade, replaced by cutting words and intense scrutiny. Brooke felt herself shrinking, doubting her worth, questioning her choices. Despite her growing discomfort, she tried to salvage their relationship. She believed that love could heal, that with enough patience she could help him overcome his anger. But deep down, she sensed the futility of her efforts. A gnawing fear took hold, whispering that perhaps Jim was beyond change, that she was ensnared in a situation far darker than she had anticipated. One evening, during an especially opulent event, Brooke encountered someone unexpected: Jim's son. A young man burdened by the weight of his father's legacy. Unlike his father, his demeanor was somber, his gaze filled with a mixture of sorrow and resignation. He approached Brooke quietly, pulling her aside to a secluded corner of the lavish ballroom. You need to leave him," he whispered urgently, his voice trembling with sincerity. "If you don't, he'll destroy you. I've seen it before. He knows how to break people, how to make them feel like they're nothing." Brooke's heart raced as his words sunk in. There was an honesty in his gaze that cut through her bravado, exposing the fear she had buried beneath layers of rationalization. She had brushed off warnings, convinced herself that she could handle Jim's volatility. But here, in the eyes of a young man who had witnessed the destruction Jim left in his wake, she saw the truth she had tried to deny. For days after that conversation, Brooke found herself haunted by the son's warning. Each time Jim's temper flared, each moment he tightened his hold on her, she remembered the urgency in the young man's voice. The glamorous life she had once adored felt increasingly hollow, as though the very walls of her existence were closing in on her. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Brooke oscillated between fear and hope, convincing herself that she could change Jim, that their love was worth the pain. Yet each attempt to rationalize his behavior chipped away at her resolve. She was caught in a cycle of denial, clinging to a belief that love could redeem, even as reality proved otherwise. The breaking point came during another grandiose party, where laughter filled the air and glasses clinked in celebration. Brooke watched as Jim charmed the room, his smile effortlessly captivating those around him. But when their eyes met across the crowd, a chill ran through her. She saw the mask slip for a moment, revealing the emptiness behind his charming facade. In that instant, Brooke realized that she was no longer in love with Jim. She was trapped, ensnared in a relationship that had twisted her sense of self. Taking a deep breath, she made a decision. She would confront him, reclaim her life, and break free from the chains that had bound her. The next day, Brooke found herself in Jim's office, the air heavy with unspoken words. She took a deep breath, steadying herself as she prepared to speak. Jim. She began, her voice trembling but resolute. I can't do this anymore. This isn't love, it's control. The confrontation was explosive. Jim's rage ignited, his voice laced with threats and insults. He tried to regain control, desperate to keep her under his sway. But Brooke stood her ground, fortified by the knowledge she had gained from his son and her own painful experiences. She saw through his facade. Now the power he wielded was nothing more than a mask for his insecurities. As she walked out of Jim's office, a weight lifted from her shoulders. She was no longer a prisoner of someone else's design. She was reclaiming her narrative, ready to write her own story. The journey that followed was not easy, but it was hers. Brooke immersed herself in her career, rekindling friendships and embracing the independence she had once forsaken. Each step forward was a testament to her resilience, a reminder that she had the strength to rise above the shadows that had once engulfed her. Jim's presence lingered like a specter, a reminder of the darkness she had escaped. But as time passed, the memories faded, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. She poured herself into her work, finding fulfillment not in external validation, but in her own achievements. She became a beacon of strength, an example to others who found themselves trapped in the confines of manipulative relationships. Brooke's story became one of empowerment, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Her journey was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the strength to break free lies within. In the end, she learned that love should uplift, not entrap. It should inspire, not control. In the heart of the bustling city, Brooke found her light. The glamour and allure that had once captivated her faded into the background, replaced by the quiet strength of self-discovery. Shadows may linger, but the light of truth shines brighter, illuminating the path toward a future forged by her own choices. Brooke had been tested by fire, her spirit scarred but unbroken. Her escape from Jim's world was not just a physical departure, it was a reclamation of her soul, a rebirth into a life defined by her own terms. She had faced love's darkest face and emerged victorious, her story a beacon for others, a reminder that true power lies not in control, but in freedom. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe.